Thank you. I'm standing before you now in the hope that we can put an end to domestic violence. I want to tell you that I met the most handsome 6'4" man in a small care group in my 6,000 member church. I was a special education teacher, but since he did not want me to work, um, I had an endorsement also in English as a second language, so I volunteered to teach English at the Fresh Start Women's Resource Center here in Phoenix, never knowing that one day I would need their services myself. I did not know when my husband moved me from my support system, my church, and my family that it was called isolation. He accelerated his abusive actions once we arrived here in Phoenix. The threat of harm, of dismemberment, was enough for me to call my mom and say, "Can the baby and I come back home?" And I told her that he said it would be easy for me to put an arm in Alabama and a leg in Louisiana, since he had trucks that he leased to Prime, and Prime ran all over the country. My mother said, "I'm sure you misunderstood." She said, "You have a good husband. If you try to make your marriage work, I'm sure you can be successful at it. All you have to do is try." Well, I didn't know at the time that he had given my mother a $10,000 gift before we left. My daughter went back without me because I was not in that ideal dream that I wanted in my home situation. One day, after my daughter had left, I talked to the mailman too long. I got a $600 pair of cold hard white boots after the physical abuse. But one day, he asked me to get some sugar for his coffee. And all I could think was, my head hurts, my back hurts, my stomach hurts, my rectum hurts, I miss my daughter, and he wants sugar. So I stood up in the chair, because he had just stood up to get his own coffee. And I thought, if I just squeezed hard enough, since my hands are around his neck, I could get the last breath out of his body. But I didn't realize I was just hanging. I wasn't on the chair. I wasn't lovely. But he got the point. I had enough. He ran out the door. When he ran out, I realized that I could leave. I could get my own house. I could get a restraining order. I could get a safety plan. And everything would be fine. But one day I walked out of my house and he was on the lawn. Safety plan didn't work. Restraining order didn't help me. He started to kick me. He threw me to the ground, and I didn't know how to protect myself. I just curled up, and he continued to kick me. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I thought, this is where I die, right here. And a policeman was off duty. An officer pulled his gun and said, "Kick her one more time." That was the only time he was arrested. So I thought, he's arrested, everything's going to be fine. And then one day I looked out my window, I was getting ready to go out. I looked out now before I went out. And there was a man standing there, and it was one of his friends. So I called the police, and I said, "There's a man outside my door, and I know he's standing there just to intimidate me. He's sent there by my husband. And the cop said, that's nice. That man can stand wherever he wants. Is he on the restraining order? I said, no, I didn't include my husband's friends in the restraining order. He said, well, there's nothing we can do. Every time I was harassed, they stood by my car. Whatever they did, I called the police. He's done it again, Miss Randall. If someone is standing in your living room, that's when you give us a call. Well, I realized if I couldn't be safe in my home and expect the police to stand by that slogan, protect and serve, I might as well board up my house and leave. Living in a shelter is not easy. My husband used to tell me, if someone told him no, it only meant that he didn't offer enough money. Last night I had to leave the shelter because a woman said I hit her, and there were witnesses that said I hit her. I didn't come near that woman, but I left the shelter because I have a teaching certificate from the state of Arizona. I cannot have an assault charge. Some people can pick up the phone and call the police. I can't. I have to think twice. How could the police twist this situation? Because in the past I've called the police and they said, are you on medication? Did you take your medication? So I just want to tell you, I am a survivor. My name is Sheletha Randall.
She is a 55-year-old mother of